Could you talk a little bit about ITANA and how it helps people in higher ed IT focus on enterprise and business solutions?
Yeah, there are a couple of, I think, different ways that it does that. The first would be we teach people the skills they need to be enterprise or business architects. We help them meet with their peers and learn from others about that so that they go home with a toolkit that they can apply and with lessons learned from other institutions. So I think that's an important part of it, is just building up that skill set of people who are architects in higher education in various institutions of all different types and sizes. The second is we share case studies, or we bring outside people like registrars or things like that into the calls so that they have real life examples of what worked, what didn't work. They can have things that they can actually take back and apply, or they've heard from leadership, from CIOs at other institutions, or from EDUCAUSE leaders or anything like that. What's really front of mind to give them better context for what they're doing. So I think those would be the two big ways, I would say.
Can you talk a little bit about what you most like about working around enterprise architecture strategies, and what do you find most rewarding and most challenging?
What I find most rewarding is that sense of alignment that you get, that sense of vision, of having your eyes over the horizon and thinking what's really big and next. That's something I enjoy doing. I enjoy being, a futurologist, if you want. To me, that's where it becomes really interesting, is when you see that vision start to hit the ground and other people begin to understand it and people follow in behind whatever vision you've set. So that's what's most rewarding to me. The challenging part is what comes with that. It is a lot of change management. It's change management at the organizational level, at a group level, and at a personal level. So you end up doing a lot of coaching and mentoring. You end up doing a lot of thinking of different ways you can message something because it's not working with this group or that group. So there's a whole lot of the interpersonal kinds of change management things that you are doing, and those influence skills that become really challenging when you're dealing with, especially like me at a big Research One university, when you're dealing with 500 people in the IT group.
Mm-hmm. This isn't on the list, but I'm going to be interviewing a lot of people at the annual conference about IT governance. And could you talk a little bit about IT governance and how it factors into what you do, and maybe what the biggest challenge is for you around IT governance?
So here, IT governance is really interesting because we're trying to architect effective governance. So we're really thinking, what are the decisions it needs to make? How will it work? What are the processes that will get us there? What are the artifacts that will help those governance groups work well? So there's kind of a meta part of this, of trying to actually structure and design governance to be effective. Then from us, my vision is, and the belief is, that IT needs to become a business transformation partner. We need the other parts of the university to really view the IT group as someone who's bringing opportunities, who's a strategic thinker, who can contribute to that. That means that governance becomes incredibly important as we get linked at the hips to say, this is what we need to do on the academic side, whether that's lifelong learning, whether that's thinking about new types of courses and new degree programs, whatever, with IT saying, hey, if you want to do badging and credentialing, we need to do these things to the student information system. They have to be tightly linked. So governance becomes a really important part, and it needs to shift from being kind of a once a year meeting with the board to being a much more active and agile and engaged year-long continuous process. So
it's always changing, you would say. It's like, it's never like we're done. It's always like iteration after iteration.
It's never that we're done, and it's never that, oh, we've built a 5-year plan. Great, let's just go run on that for 5 years, because things are shifting so fast with with opportunities and stuff. So it really is this, we built a 5-year vision. Is it still correct? Do we need to course change? Do we need to adapt? I think of it as taking a really long road trip across the country, and then you discover that there's construction someplace, or there's some, going on in a museum 4 towns over that you really want to go see. You have to constantly evaluate. You don't just blindly say, well, I'm staying on this road. I don't care if it's closed for the next 3 weeks. I'm just going to sit here. So
That's
you have to
good metaphor.
constantly adapt.
A little bit larger scope question. What do you think is the biggest challenge or challenges in your mind for higher ed IT these days in today's environment?
I think there's several, and I think that they're linked. One is the rapid rate of change of things that are hitting us from, machine learning and artificial intelligence with its ever-growing capabilities. Where do we apply that? Whether it's blockchain and thinking, how do we apply that to, say, transcripts and to degree attainment, so that we can have lifelong learners who are bringing courses from multiple places and managing their own transcript. So there's that huge rate of change. And then there is that need to really shift from being what I would consider sort of either a commodity partner. IT has these services and we buy them and they're fine, and otherwise we don't talk to them, or being kind of, guns for hire. Oh, we're doing this project, let's bring IT in, into being that transformation partner, into saying, no, we need to be at the table when you're talking about the roadmap for the registrar, so we can understand what's going on, but we can also bring opportunities or risks to the table.
Mm-hmm. This is related, and it may be a redundant question from what you just talked about, but is there any issues that keep you up at night? Are there any sort of pet issues that are always in the back of your mind that's sort of the thing that really keeps your brain going?
Right now, my team, I have a team of 3 architects, has really picked up a huge shift in sort of organizational development, which is pretty new to our enterprise architecture, because we're just seeing the need for very different skills. And that keeps me up, because that's a big change. We had historically in IT groups, the person who was the service owner, the service leader, in an ITIL sense, service owner, right? They were a really bright technologist who became a lead developer, who is then made into the service owner. And they really want to be behind the screen looking downward at the technology. If we're going to make that change to being business transformation partners, then they need to get out from behind their computer. They need to have influence. They need to have great communication skills. They need to have business acumen. They need to go be engaged with the business about their service and helping them understand. That's a totally different skill set. That's drawing on what I call a lot of above the line competencies, those things on how you do work. Are you a good strategist? Are you a good communicator? Rather than the below the line, hey, they really are great. They write tons of Java code. They're a great developer. That's a big organizational change for us to lift. And that's something that keeps me awake, is how we are going to affect that.
Yeah. Well, related to that, what sort of organizational and cultural shifts do you think need to happen in the next 5 to 10 years to keep IT effective and relevant?
That function of business relationship management is going to move, I think, very much to the fore, to where you're going to be saying, how are we working with our campus partners? How are we working with governments? That's going to be embedded in the department all over. Will become much more of a distributed engagement model, I think, rather than sort of, oh, well, they write to the help desk if they need something. It's got to be much more, we're in their meetings, we understand what's going on. So that's one big part. I think the second big trends are around moving towards cloud and software as service and everything that comes with that, and us becoming much more of brokers between the business and those service providers, and less of the requirements gatherer and code writers. That's another really big shift that's completely underway right now that is changing the skills and how we work.
So would you say, since I'm outside the industry, I'm just curious, because I grew up in the 90s when everybody built their own stuff, right? Would you say that the technical skills within an IT organization are sort of, not that you don't have technical people, but is it just, do most of those people work for private companies that provide third-party services to you? Is that how it works these days?
No, we still have technical people, and that's part of the split in the stack, is there are stuff that we've written that we need to run, but more and more we are looking towards outside vendors to be providing things. So going with a software solution for your customer relationship management, Salesforce being really common, going there for your HR payroll system. So rather than you actually running a big stack of code in-house for your HR and payroll system or your finance system or your student system, that will be run by an outside vendor. What you'll be doing is configuring those tools to meet the business requirements, and then understanding what the vendor is trying to do with their system and what the capabilities are. So it's a shift in skills from yeah, I'm going to go write code around our PeopleSoft implementation to do what the business wants. To saying, well, I'm going to work with the business, I'm going to work with the vendor, and I'm going to figure out if we can configure it in a way to execute what you want to do. But we are, we a bit bipolar in this way, and that we have to be doing that, but we also have a lot of legacy code that still needs to be maintained and written and run. So we have a foot in both camps. So we have this separation that's happening where we need both skills suddenly simultaneously.
That's a great answer. Two more questions, and I'll let you go, Jim. Do you have any advice for those entering your particular field of enterprise architecture or enterprise strategies? What are some of the particulars you would tell somebody that wants to become a leader in that industry?
I would, of course, say instantly join Itana.
Yeah.
You'll meet a lot of peers. You'll see what's going on. You'll understand better what it really means. It is a leadership position, so get leadership training either through Moore's IT Leader Program or through EDUCAUSE's leadership programs, whatever that is. Get into one of the in-depth leadership training efforts so you understand that aspect. And then third, find a great mentor. Find somebody who's in a school like you or a school that's different. And that's why I say join Itana. You'll meet people who you maybe will say, that's great. Step out, put yourself out there and say, can I have a monthly call with you? You seem like you're doing great work. Can I talk with you? Can I find out what's going on? Will you help me as I get onboarded onto this? Really look for a coach and a mentor as you're making that transition in. Those are the three big things I would say.
That makes a lot of sense. Lastly, first of all, congratulations on the award. Did you expect it, or how did you feel about it when you heard about it?
It's been overwhelming. It's been a great pleasure. I've had a ton of emails. I'm trying to respond. If I haven't written back to you, I'm really sorry. I took vacation and all that, so a whole bunch came in that I ignored. I knew that I was being nominated, and I was just really thrilled that my steering committee really wanted to step up and do that and go through the hoops to do that, and that EDUCAUSE has recognized the work that I've put in to build Itana and the engagement I've had with them over the past 12 years. So like I said, it's marvelous. It's still sinking in.